Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the ETSN.fm podcast. I'm Clint Buckley, and I'm joined, as always, by Mike Graham. How's it going, Mike?
Doing good. Regional semifinal time.
That's right. It's Thanksgiving week, and now's when the playoffs start to get serious. You know, every team, their goal at the beginning of the year is to be playing during this time of the year, and we've got 17 teams in East Texas that are doing just that. 13 games this week involving East Texas teams. So let's get right down to it, and we'll start in Class 5A, Division I. Our only 5A team left in the playoffs, John Tyler, they have Rockwall Heath Friday afternoon at McLean Stadium in Baylor.
Yeah, these are the big boys, and I'm excited for John Tyler to get to experience a big stadium like McLean Stadium. That's something special about playing beyond Thanksgiving. You start to move out of your middle-sized high schools and into AT&T Stadium, McLean Stadium now, and a couple of other cool places. So that's a reward in and of itself. But they're going to have a tough opponent in Rockwall Heath. Heath has performed well this year. Their only two losses to Euless Trinity and Mesquite Poteet. But when you look at John Tyler and when you look at Rockwall Heath, you start to think, who are these teams? Because their schedules are so different. I mean, they've crushed the weaker opponents, and they've been kind of all over the place with their top tier opponents. So it's going to be interesting to watch in this game. Rockwall Heath, they're very balanced on offense. Rico Henderson is their key senior running back, and he eclipsed 1,000 yards on his final carry of their 44-6 win against Wiley. So a lot of things to look forward to in this game, and definitely another task for the John Tyler defense.
Yeah, speaking of that defense, I mean, they're playing really well right now. Yeah, they give up 27 points to Mansfield Summit, but it's not so much them just dominating the other team as far as yards is concerned, which they can do, but it's turnovers and them turning those turnovers into points.
Yeah, Jordan Owens, the safety. What can we say about him? He almost won ETSN Player of the Week two weeks in a row because he has 4 interceptions in the playoffs now, 2 in each playoff game. He has a fumble recovery, and last week he also had Bryson Gibson blocked a PAT, and he returned it 92 yards for a 2-point score. So great job to him, and he's definitely someone I'm excited to watch at McLean Stadium on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that defense, and he's like almost the forgotten man because you look at the names that they have up front with Jasavier Reese and Braylon Jones and Pierre Leonard, and then you got Jalen Reese at linebacker, Isaac Warren, DeAndre Williams, Bryson Gibson in the secondary, and then you got Jordan Owens who's leading the team in interceptions. What does he have, 6 now?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah, so I mean, they're playing on all cylinders right now, that defense, and it's going to be fun to see what they do this week against a Rockwall Heath team that, you know, to be honest with you, I thought that game against Wiley would be a little bit more competitive, 44-6. I mean, that says a lot about what kind of team that John Tyler is going to be facing on Friday.
Yeah, another thing about Rockwall Heath is the school is only 8 years old. I remember when I was in high school, we played them their first varsity year. They were an all-junior team, and to see them rise this quickly is very impressive.
All right, so again, that's John Tyler versus Rockwall Heath at noon Friday from Baylor's McLean Stadium in Waco. You'll be on hand for that. Another big one, this one's on Saturday. It's a 4A Division I playoff. Jasper against Henderson, 2 of our teams playing each other. This is interesting. It's 2 o'clock Saturday in Lufkin. Jasper comes in winners of 8 straight. And their defense has been playing lights out. We talk about John Tyler, but Jasper, over the last 3 games, which has included 2 playoff wins, has only allowed a total of 20 points. And that includes a 34-6 win over Kilgore in the bi-district round. And, of course, Kilgore was coming off a win over Henderson in the regular season finale. So they have a common opponent there. This is one of those games that it's hard to get a read on because, Henderson has played well for most of the season. Taking that Kilgore game, out of the equation, Zane Bowles is kind of put them on his back. I mean, he has 200 rushing yards last week against a really good West Columbia team that came in 10-1. Henderson has played well. I mean, they have had a really good win in the opening round against Silsbee, 48-22. Followed that up with an even more impressive win. And of course Jasper, 34-6 over Kilgore in round 1, and then last week against Stafford, 21-7. Their defense is playing great right now. They have one of the best all-purpose skill guys I think in the area, in Randy Spikes. He's dynamic. I mean he's listed at receiver, but he gets a lot of carries. whether on jet sweeps or whether just straight handoffs into the backfield. He's a dynamic player. He's nearing, if not, he's already surpassed. I want to say he's close to having both 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. So he's definitely going to be a guy that the Henderson defense will have to keep an eye on Saturday afternoon in that game. So Jasper and Henderson, it'll be interesting to see who comes out of this one, because I think both of these teams match up differently against whoever. Against Navasota, which I assume would win against El Campo. That would be the regional final matchup. The winner of Jasper Henderson against either Navasota or El Campo, and I think you and I both feel like that's going to be Navasota. So I think Jasper matches up great with them athletically. I think Jasper has several dynamic athletes on the defensive side of the ball that can hang with Navasota's skill guys on offense. I'm not saying that they can beat them, but I think it could be competitive. And then you look on the other side, Henderson, they have a really good ball control offense with Zane Bowles, getting 6-7 yards a pop, and then Randy Davis, their starting running back. LaKendrick Van Zant, who's kind of a home run hitter out of the backfield.
Really a brute force team, and then their linebacking core is fantastic.
Yes.
When you have that, you're looking pretty good when you have a good linebacking core on defense.
So Jasper Henderson, 2:00 Saturday in Lufkin. I'll be there. Now on to a couple of 4A Division II Region II semifinals, and they're all East Texas teams, all four of these. So we're going to have at least one East Texas team into the semifinals. One of these four is going to come out on top, and we'll start with Atlanta versus Tatum, which is a rematch from district play. Atlanta won the first game 34-28. Really the only close game that Atlanta's had in district. They played Gladewater, and Gladewater ended up handing them a pretty decisive defeat. I think it was 36-14. But and Tatum has really come on right now. Tatum has looked really good in the first two playoff games. You saw their first one against Bullard a couple of weeks ago. And then last week, really their defense just dominates Cold Spring Oakhurst, 35-12. It was 35-6 for most of the game.
That's a really good traditional program that they took it to last week.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about Tatum all year. We thought some good things might be in their future early in the season when they played Gilmer so tough.
Yeah, talking to Coach Evans after they beat Bullard severely, Coach Evans said, we may be a 5-loss team, but we played the toughest schedule in 4A within the state, which they did. And they played Gilmer close, too, and I think that Gilmer's the team to beat of these four teams. So in this Atlanta game, really exciting matchups, a whole lot of athleticism,
yes,
especially when you throw in
the two quarterbacks. Yes,
yeah. You want to cover that?
We'll start with Atlanta. Chase Musgrove. He's pretty much the pure definition of a dual threat quarterback. He's really sparked their offense. They put up 49 points last week against Tarkington. Musgrove accounted for 5 touchdowns. He ran for about 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and threw for 2 more touchdowns. He is what makes that engine go in Atlanta. Chase Musgrove, he's a good multi-sport star. He's a good baseball player as well. And then you look at Tatum, and they have Chaston Brooks at quarterback. And Chaston Brooks I feel like, is one of the area's most underrated and unique talents. He's another 2-sport star. He's a great basketball player as well.
And he picked up a New Mexico State offer Tuesday.
That's right. He is now has his first FBS offer. Congratulations to Chaston. He had to play quarterback at the beginning of the season due to injury. J.D. Taylor was the projected starting quarterback, and he was nicked up, couldn't play in the opener against Newton. Chaston Brooks came in and performed great, threw 4 touchdown passes, and really beat a really good Newton team soundly. I think it was 39-6 in the opener. Brooks had a big hand in that, and I think, I could be wrong about this, but I think some of the problems Tatum experienced in the season, losing the 5 games, they were a little unsure about what to do at the quarterback position, because J.D. Taylor did come back and did take over the quarterback spot, and then where they were using 2 of them. They had Brooks come in for some plays, and they'd have J.D. Taylor in there as well. So I think once they solidified the quarterback position, that's when their confidence started to pick up, and that's why they're playing so well right now, is because they have full faith and confidence in Chaston Brooks at quarterback, and he's making the coaching staff and all the players around him look good right now.
And one last note about Tatum. I know for a fact just the discussions after that Bullard game that they're already looking forward to being in this position and getting the opportunity to rematch Tatum, potentially rematch Gilmer, and take on a good Gladewater program. This is what they've been waiting for all season.
Speaking of Gilmer and Gladewater, that's the other regional semifinal in this bracket. Gilmer and Gladewater, wow. Battle for Highway 271. These schools are only separated by about 10 miles along that stretch of highway. They're normally in the same district, and back in February when the UIL realigned, we were kind of scratching our head a little bit about why they weren't, because they were relatively the same size. They were in the same classification for Division II, yet Gilmer goes west into the district with Nevada Community, Emory Rains, Melissa, Bullard, Canton. Meanwhile, Gladewater stays pretty much in this area with Pleasant Grove, Tatum, Atlanta, Center, Spring Hill. So I think we were robbed of a district matchup between these two, which I think would have been great. But I'm glad we're finally getting a taste of Gilmer Gladewater this year. And boy, I don't know if the stakes have ever been higher when these two teams have played. Both are state ranked. Gilmer is undefeated, of course, 12-0. They've scored 80 points or more twice this season, including last week's playoff win over Waco Connolly, 80-21. They have probably the best collection of skill players in East Texas, maybe regardless of classification. I know some of the bigger schools may argue with that, but you look at Chris Boyd, Blake Lynch, Chase Tate, Nick Smith, Quinn Fluellen, Jamel Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And then the quarterback, McLean Carter. I mean, he only played a half last week. Of course, they only needed him to. But, I mean, he was, I think, 15 of 20 for over 200 yards, 4 touchdown passes, made it look easy.
Yeah, I think he's got 36 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Yeah.
By far, East Texas' most efficient passer. Really good game, but really good team. But they're going to be facing a pretty dangerous Gladewater defense. The defensive front.
Yes, probably the biggest test Gilmer will have faced up to this point, and maybe the biggest test they'll face the rest of the year. There's a good chance that the winner of this could go on and win it all. That case can be made, certainly, for both of these teams. You mentioned the defensive front. Of course, you talk about Dalen Mack, the Texas A&M commit, who is not only a force at the defensive end, but is emerging once again, as he did last year in the playoffs, as an offensive threat, especially on short yardage situations. He had a couple of touchdown runs last week. I think had 50 rushing yards on maybe 11 or 12 carries. And that backfield is deep. James Reese, who missed the playoff opener, was back last week. He goes over 200 yards. Darnell McKnight is a great-looking sophomore prospect at running back. Justice Centers and Darryl Polk at fullback. They're loaded in the backfield. And their quarterback, Nick Caniger, while he's not asked to do as much as McLean Carter, he has shown a lot of progress this year as a passer. I mean, last year, maybe 3 or 4 pass attempts a game was it for him. But they've opened it up a little bit.
Definitely, down the backstretch of the season, too. I mean, his numbers have jumped up quite a bit since about the 5th game of the season.
And one of their good receivers, Caleb Williams, is having a great year. I mean, I think he's responsible for most of the damage in the passing game as far as receivers are concerned. So, but I think this game will be won up front on both sides of the ball. When Gilmer has the ball, it's going to be how well their offensive line holds up against that defensive front that features Dalen Mack, Quantarius Turner, Eric Abston, and others. Austin Blanco at linebacker. And then when Gladewater has the ball, are they going to be able to run the ball? Are they going to be able to run it as effectively as they have all season? And are they going to be able to play ball control?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this game totally comes down to Gladewater's got to be efficient when it's got the ball, because Gilmer, even if they go 3 and out, they're quickly going to get the ball back again.
And they can score in one play.
Yeah, right. I mean, the possessions for Gilmer, I don't think, matter as much as they do for Gladewater, since Gladewater still is going to be leaning on the run in this game.
Yeah, time of possession definitely is more of a concern for Gladewater, I think, than Gilmer. So, but there's a lot of hype going into this game. A lot of chatter on Twitter this week between students for both schools. I expect a huge crowd Friday night at Lobo Stadium in Longview. That's where I'll be. Kickoff is set for 6:30. Gilmer and Gladewater should be very fun. Now, before we wrap things up, we want to give a shout-out to our offensive and defensive players of the week. And we didn't have to look too far for either one. They both came from the same school, and that's the Wascom Wildcats, who are still alive in the playoffs. They have a playoff game Friday night in Tyler against Howell. Offensive player of the week is Junebug Johnson, the running back from Wascom. 6 carries, 217 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's pretty dang efficient. And if that weren't enough, he had 1 catch for a 60-yard touchdown. So almost 300 yards of total offense on 7 touches, and he scores 5 touchdowns. So 5 of the 7 times he touched the ball, he found himself in the end zone.
And fun fact, Leonard's defense was averaging 17 points a game and gave up a season-worst 52 points to Washington.
Yeah, and Junebug had most of that. So Junebug wrecked the Leonard defense. So he's our offensive player of the week.
Defensive player of the week is Wascom's middle linebacker, Chan Amy, and he had 19 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and a 72-yard pick six. So individually, he had a touchdown swing in the 20-point win, and obviously played quite a part in shutting down Leonard the few times that they needed to build up their lead. So it was pretty easy to go with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to say this because football is more than just you know 2 guys, but it was pretty much a 2-man show when you talk about Junebug and Chan. Junebug gets 5 touchdowns. Chan Amy gets the defensive pick 6. So that's 6 touchdowns of their 7.
Yeah.
So those 2 guys definitely earned it. So congratulations to Junebug Johnson and Chan Amy of Wascom, our offensive and defensive players of the week.
They're going to beat Hal.
All right, we'll see. It's Friday night, 7:30 in Tyler. Our friend Chase Colston will be at that game. So be on the lookout for updates on Twitter from the Wascom game Friday night. So if you haven't done so already, head over to ETSN.fm and you can check out the previews of all 13 games that we've got going on in the area this week. We have a lot of information to get you ready, something you can read while enjoying some turkey and dressing and some cranberries and all the good stuff.
More like hiding from your family. But
exactly.
It's going to keep coming out this week. Each game will be previewed. We're really excited. We're at the best part of the season right now.
I can't wait. And, of course, if you have any questions or comments for either one of us, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Clint Buckley, and Mike, you are?
I'm at Mike_ETSN.
And also, if you want to, you can submit questions or comments to our main account, ETSN.fm, and that is at ETSN.fm. So for Mike Graham, I'm Clint Buckley, and thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving weekend.